is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
No, not what is buffer time. What is Starfleet? That is the most important question of the week as we digest the Strange New Worlds episode of the same name. But before we get into that, let's go around and introduce ourselves clockwise. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek.
I am Scott from Opinions No One Cares About.
I'm Josh from Wind Grace Project.
I'm Ren from Ren Rants.
And my name is Vanessa, and I host a YouTube channel called What is Butter? A lobster tail.
Is it lobster butter for lobster?
I can't believe it's not butter.
Ooh.
And Norman is also here. Okay, we have a pile of questions, a lot of which kind of feed into each other. I imagine I'll only have to ask like 4 of these to actually get at the crux of all of them. So since this is a documentary style episode, is the tone of the documentary presented in bad faith?
I mean, kind of. I mean,
it does seem like he comes into it.
He had valid criticisms, but like his reasoning for it was very personal, and then he immediately like folded upon being challenged on that. Yeah, kind of.
It was definitely he came into it with this is my point, and these are the things that I'm going to use to make my point without any real learning until the one scene when he's like, oh, you know what? That's actually great. I changed all my facts.
Right.
It just seemed like he had like a really immature approach going into it, because his thought is that, oh, my sister is stolen from me, which is a silly ass thing that completely robs her of agency, that Erica Ortegas didn't sign up for Starfleet knowing that injuries are possible. And you also hear that La'an has suffered multiple injuries herself. So it's like, you know, this is just sort of part of the deal. You know, they've been through the Klingon War. Now they went through the Gorn battles and stuff. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? Also, like, I like am fine with this premise, but the approach is basically, I'm going to grill all of the crew members about things that I don't like, and use that to bolster my argument versus like actually focusing on the imperialist tendencies of Starfleet and the Federation.
Yeah. So I'm also going to stealth record my love interest.
Yeah. That's actually what got me thinking, because they mostly used footage from this mission. I mean, there was a couple shots from other things in there, but so did he not ask any of the tough questions until this exact mission? So is he just like being cute and flowery and asking nice questions for the last 6 months? And then he immediately turned because he decided, hey, this is the one mission I'm going to use to just twist the knife. Also,
like, oh man, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Go ahead, someone else.
Ortegas's injury.
Partly into what he's doing.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Oh,
I was just gonna say that like this happens well after Ortegas's injury, so you know he's been holding on to this and filming like silly fun things in the meantime, and meanwhile he's been on the DL filming this expose that doesn't really expose anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't even come on the ship till 3 months after the injury.
I like that they allowed him on this mission with a camera at all when it's so stealthy. It's a need to know basis for the crew that's like got their orders. Like, if this is such a shady, secretive mission, why did Starfleet allow some random documentarian along? It's just weird.
This is true. And
I wonder if they ever had an intention of releasing it, though. Like they could at the end have been like, "Oh, this is good. We'll just keep it, keep it for a while and see what happens." You know. But good job.
I say yes because at some points they were saying that that Starfleet had declassified certain files about the mission. So presumably they knew this thing was going to have an audience if they were going to let him, film it and talk about it.
I did like that they have a version of FOIA in the Federation. That was fun.
Norman's got a really good point here about the PTSD with Ortegas, because that hasn't really been addressed. She's been doing very butchy things like doing the punching bag or working on her motorcycle. Not to say those are inherently masculine things, but those are the things that are gendered activities for somebody that's trying to suppress emotions when it comes to trauma. And that's the only expression that we get of that.
It would have been nice if we saw throughout the season her actually struggling with this outside of the 3 minutes that we saw her struggle with it. And then she's just back to normal.
Is anyone else mad that Beto got an episode before Erica? Because I like Beto just fine, but I'm pretty mad about it, honestly.
I don't
this
like
is the Ortegas episode for the season. I'm gonna riot.
I mean, I'm sure it'll tie into whenever they deal with Batel's Gorn babies, who are apparently fine in this episode because she was eating at the episode.
Two things I find odd that he uses. So, like, Erica and her angst seem to be there for our benefit in the season arc, but she doesn't add anything to the documentary. She's just like, get out of here. Like, in any other documentary, that would have all been cut. And that leads me to the second thing that I find is odd. Documentaries shoot a crap load of stuff to put out what they do. They usually shoot 3 to 4 times as much stuff as they need to have on screen. And we saw him filming all season, and there's not even like a hint of a smidge of B-roll from like the Q Planet or any of the other stuff that he's done. So just a couple of odd things that take you out of the universe and what's actually being told in this documentary.
Or even characters who weren't part of this plot. Like there's no engineer, no Pelia, no Scotty, no Mitchell, any other characters.
That also bugged me. Not just the lack of the engineering staff, but also this would have been such a great opportunity to feature some of the background characters that we don't know very well. Like, why is there no interview from Mitchell or like any of the other crew? Like, this is the perfect time to like work them in and like give us, like 30 seconds to get to know them a little better.
How is there not a pre-dead Gamble? Like, this is what could happen in Starfleet. Look at this cute guy. Oh, no, he's dead now. Sorry.
Especially since he made such a point with Pike about like, oh, well, people dying under your command. What does that feel like?
Pike was so shady with his response to that, though.
But I mean,
Pike's like, listen, I can't die.
Really?
That would mean, the thing is though, like, to the initial question, like, is this in bad faith? Because the focus is so broad, but the footage is so specific. It's hard to even, like, you would say, of course it's in bad faith because his sort of bias going into this from sort of like an emotional place, and it's not uncommon for documentarians to necessarily have a personal connection with their subjects. However, it's like you have this big broad topic and then you specifically land on, like, you're pointing to a systemic issue and you're landing on, like, you're just interviewing people about specific incidences without any sort of focus. If it was about that incident specifically, or about M'Benga's shady past, or like, Pike's cover-ups of M'Benga's stuff, or, the thing with Una or something, it just seemed so unfocused and vague.
So how does this compare to other real documentaries you've seen in the past?
Well, it definitely feels like a student documentary as opposed to a documentary made by like an experienced documentarian who knows what they're doing.
For me, that this is where the episode just fails. One of the only things I can give the episode is that it tried something different. Okay, we tried this documentary format that Battlestar Galactica has done pretty well once, that Stargate SG-1, by understand, did fairly well at once. But it fails on like every point that it's a documentary. There are decent or at least okay documentaries where it's leading you from the beginning to one predetermined conclusion.
True.
And there are decent, and most of the best ones are the ones that like ask the questions to both sides and leave you, the viewer, to make up your mind in the end. This one just does this weird thing where for like 95% of it, it's leading you down one specific path. And at the end, we take a hard left into, well, I guess Starfleet's okay and what they do is justified. And it's like, what?
Yeah,
What
he
did
really
I
had
watch
his
the other
nose moved up.
95% for then? Like, he actually makes Matt Walsh look like a good documentarian. And that's terrible.
Yikes.
Yeah, he's no Werner Herzog.
Well, it feels like he went into school and he's like, hey, I want to make a documentary about this thing. And they're like, here's your camera, follow your bliss, son. And they're just like, no training, no nothing, just go do it.
I just want to know how he got approval from Starfleet, honestly. Like, what like, reel did he show them of his work to, like, make them think he was qualified enough that they let him go on, like, top secret mission?
Well, like the only other journalist that we see is like Cisco's son, you know, and like I remember like when Cisco's son would go on missions and interview people, it was sort of not to draw necessarily a personal conclusion, but to just sort of report the facts and stitch it together into a narrative. The problem that I see with what he did was he started with an assumption, and when that wasn't bolstered with the evidence that he provided, he backed out of it. You know, instead of just saying, you know what, maybe I was wrong, you know, to sort of bring it full circle. Or just having no assumption as to where this was going to go. Like it can be both. It can be both an imperial military venture and an exploration, expanding territory type of thing. So, you know, it can be a blend. I think that would have made it a bit more harmonious rather than having to be like, it's mutually exclusive. It has to be one or the other. It has to be a good or a bad thing. I feel like in comparison to other documentaries, I feel like it's really unfocused. It doesn't really know its subject.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have worked better. Like I agree that I like the fact that he came into this with an axe to grind, because that tells a good story. But I would have liked him to come into it more naturally throughout the season, being embedded with these people, learning who these people are, seeing them as individuals, and you know, especially the relationship with Uhura. Like, oh, this isn't this faceless evil thing out there. These are just regular people doing what they have to do to get through their day. To have that more gray area instead of just a quick, somebody gives him a talking to, and he's like, you know what? All of my assumptions are out the window.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the biggest problem on that is that if his assumptions went out the window by the end, then this should have been changed dramatically in the edit to either be more fair and balanced, where we're looking at both sides of the issue that he wants to explore, or he completely flips it on its head and then just goes for like the better things. I mean, you can still look at like the darker stuff that they do and make it a little more gritty. But when your conclusion in the end is completely antithetical to everything else you've talked about in the documentary, it's just like,
yeah, if he'd started off looking at Starfleet, you know, as a whole, because he was really focused on this one mission, and Starfleet in itself is just so broad. There had to be a better way to try to encompass all of that, and it probably would have helped him come to the conclusion he came to in the end, but quicker, and without seeming, you know, like he was just trying to support his own theory in the first place.
Honestly, I'm still confused about whether we're supposed to view this episode as like Beto's finished documentary, or if like we were watching the like first edit and then the end is like part of the edit of what he actually put out. Like it's so, because otherwise like it makes no sense whatsoever tonally. But then I feel like we should have seen him like scrapping it, or even like seen him like re-editing it, or like something like that. Like it's just it's very like, yeah, it's sloppy as a like framing device for the episode. It's a mess, which is a shame because the whole rest of the episode I actually really like.
Yeah, because I'm kind of unsure where it lands at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Is this actually going out now, or is he still working? Is he going to be in the next episode doing a new thing? Like, where does it stand?
It also kind of threaded the needle, or didn't thread the needle. It sort of veered into like reality television tone for me, because like to sort of tell Uhura something about the Farragut in order to get her reaction, not only, you know, for documentary's sake, but that's also like something reality TV shows do, is to sort of like drop a bomb on you to sort of see how your emotions go when you're not prepared. But you know, that the conflictual nature of it, the sort of like shoving him out of the bridge, is just sort of like a way to like tonally say Starfleet's got something to hide. And it's like,
I'm showing you what Starfleet doesn't want you to see.
Which gets at the other big piece that I absolutely hate about this, and it is the editing. It's that janky cut every 5 seconds or less for TikTok kind of editing that just bugs the absolute shit out of me. I mean, I know documentaries do a lot of cuts, but there's never this many. What this is the style of is reality television.
That's a good
that
point.
same kind of quality.
I like that they had lower camera quality for most of the stuff he was filming for no discernible reason, because you would in fact think that like a documentary, like a professional filming camera of any kind, like 200 years or whatever from now, would maybe like have a crisp picture, look really good. Like I get that they were trying to do it to show that he's filming it, but it was still just kind of funny because I'm like, this is like low quality, my guy. Like there's little lines on it. That's weird.
Some of the most impactful documentaries to me sort of let a shot breathe. They don't necessarily do quick cuts every 2 seconds. It's not like, you know, David Lynch's season 3 when you're just watching somebody use a broom for 10 minutes, but you do get like a still camera just taking footage of a scene without like editing a bunch of things in and like doing a bunch of crazy cinematography that makes you want to puke. Yeah, I feel like he was using the editing similar to Section 31, where they're using the editing to sort of cover up the fact that there's nothing there.
I agree with Clarence to a small point. One of the only things I like about the episode is a couple of the weirder shots, like he's got like the drone camera hovering under one of the railings on the bridge shooting at people, or far in the conference room. I thought a couple of those shots were really interesting, but
yeah, here's the thing about that though. Some of them, those shots kind of made it seem like he was trying to get them on purpose to be artistic. Like some of the shots in the ready room, I think it was just Pike and Una talking, and the camera's like half hidden behind something. It's like, is he trying to be artistic, or does he realize he's not supposed to be filming at that point?
So I guess while we're on that, do you think this would have been a more effective framing device if it had been an actual reality show? They were filming a salacious Starfleet Nightmares or something like that.
It would have been more entertaining, for sure.
Give me that.
Hello,
Whatever
Robbie.
you're talking about. Anything but this. Dear God.
we're talking about the cinematography and the long shot and some of the weirder camera angles.
Anything but this.
Okay.
That's a fair answer to literally every question.
Just an old school crank camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so he is a film
Well,
student then.
I want to see Pike do the ragtime, impress the youngsters on this shit.
Hello,
Oh, just
my
wait,
baby.
they will.
Hello, my
You wait.
I do
Hello,
wonder,
my
like,
Starfleet.
how do you
Yeah.
think the crew would react to the final cut if this was the final cut.
I think
Not
they'd be
It
mad
is.
Benga might kill someone. Wait, sorry.
again.
Redacted.
Somebody be like,
And he'll
"Lisa."
delete the
Well-
sick bay security footage afterwards.
Just lost him in the pattern
Okay.
buffer.
Whoops.
What in the
I
hell?
don't know.
What in the hell makes Beto so antagonistic towards his own sister? Like, the way they talk to each other, like, her reactions are the reactions of someone being grilled to a degree that is unreasonable by a loved one. Like, I
He kind of
don't-
does that with everybody. I think the only person that deserved the heat was Pike.
Yeah.
And I think with Beto, he was trying to split between his documentarian self and his off-duty self, or even when he's taking footage, he's in other episodes, he's a completely different person.
Is this what happens when, like, he gets a little bit of warriorish power? Like, is this what happens to this person? Because everything we've seen beforehand, it does not make sense that this is where this led to. Like, I was actually expecting a big puff piece, not some weird, like, declassified guide to Starfleet. Like, I hate this junk. Like, this is like watching the Y-Files or something. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, this
Tito's
is junk. I
declassified
hate
Starfleet
this.
survival guide.
And like, whenever they showed the declassified stuff, there's like nothing there at all that should be declassified. It's just like, maybe we're just sitting around being like, I don't like that tone on Pike. That doesn't make us sound good. We shouldn't have people hearing him talk like that. That wouldn't be good for us.
Pike and Mbenga were both like shady enough, I think, to justify further probing. Like, Mbenga's, I do not recall. Oh, really, bud? You do not recall whether you deleted the security footage?
Like when Dick
You
Cheney
don't
couldn't recall if he shot a guy in the face. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then Pike
Hunting
was,
quail.
like, super
Dan Quayle?
pervasive.
Oh, that'd be too good for this one.
Like, they were both very suspicious, which was like good documentary fodder, but like Beto doesn't really push it much, and that's disappointing.
He should have asked Mbenga, hey, have you ever had hunted quail before?
Yeah. Well, they didn't even use some of the like fodder he had, like the fact that they allow an augment in the service or something. Like all of these other controversies he could have,
Look, he's a
Exactly.
bad documentarian. He's not racist, okay?
Oh, okay.
Come on.
It's crazy he doesn't ask about Doc Raw at all, honestly. Like, they dance it around it a little by asking about the security footage, but he doesn't bring up the fact that a Klingon diplomat was like killed on their starship.
Kill any good Klingons lately? Answer.
He looked a lot like a puppy or a quail.
It's a yes or no question. Have you killed any Klingons lately?
So
Klingon?
I do not recall.
I cannot recall it. I mean,
In
there's
the
been so
same-
much going on.
In the same vein, I have a question, but I also want to throw out the weird piece of side trivia that as a kid, I had the Where's Waldo knockoff, Where's Dan Quayle? Why does Beto ambush Uhura for her political opinion?
I think he wants to convince her, honestly, and so that's
Ooh.
why he's going at her so hard and like
Ooh, I like
digging
that.
with these questions, because he likes Uhura, and so he thinks obviously she wouldn't really be involved with Starfleet if she saw it the way he did, and so he's kind of trying to like push her into that by asking these leading questions. I think that's why he like manipulatively brings up what happened to the Cayuga and her friend, because he's trying to kind of do that whole like, gotcha, see how dangerous Starfleet is? It killed your friend.
Well, and her parents, too.
Yeah.
So
And that's how
he's
she
like,
found out.
He's trying to rescue her, basically. He's
Yeah,
like, listen,
it
I'm
was
the hero.
awful.
I'm here to expose Starfleet. You're going to come with me, and we're going to be amazing.
Basically.
Little does he know that Uhura has like a very personal connection with Starfleet. It's not just a job to her. This is something that like lifted her out of a difficult situation. So, and that's kind of like a through line. I know that a lot of people get a little tired of like trauma being connected to the reason that people are in Starfleet, but like that's been a through line through the whole thing. Who else would want to be on a ship for years and never go home and like not be around your family? This is why you don't bring family aboard.
Fair.
You know what? That's on every Mormon video. Okay, every little Mormon church video, it's always like, I found community here. I found a purpose. I found a purpose in Starfleet. That's why I give them 20% of my earnings.
Yes.
Keep sweet, pray, and obey your captain.
That would have been a great way to attack her too. Like, oh, you found all your favorite family and friends here, like Hemmer. Oh, where's he these days? You're like, oh, just everyone.
Why doesn't he come the fuck in? Jesus.
Ooh. Snap.
Ouch.
Mean.
This episode isn't mean enough to be entertaining. Like, Jesus.
But yeah, he had plenty of fuel, but he really did just focus on what was going on in the hearing.
We had to save time for that happy luncheon at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that really did me a good solid paying everything off.
What does it do to the tone of the documentary to emphasize transparency to then make key details classified?
I mean, it makes for not a very interesting documentary.
I mean, it's kind of like when they put out the redacted Epstein list a few months back. It just made for unsatisfying junk that nobody needed to begin with. Like, it didn't do anything for the administration. It sure as hell didn't do anything for the people it was intended for. I mean, even now we're still seeing how. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's fucking. I don't know. It's such a bigger thing than this podcast, but yeah, it just. I don't know. This is a confusing thing. I don't know what the purpose of making this a declassified thing is. It just doesn't make sense. It's crazy.
Well, I think it was originally the intention of Starfleet was they wanted somebody to go in behind the lines who wasn't Starfleet to make them look good. So they're like, yeah, we'll cooperate up to a certain point, so that it looked like they were being the good guys. Because, regardless of how this thing ended, I still don't think it painted Starfleet as the, 100% virtuous right people anyways. Like, even though that was kind of the tone they went for.
I guess, but did anyone else get the impression, maybe it was just me who was watching it, that like when the Enterprise crew figured out, the truth about the space butterfly, that like they didn't know, and because Starfleet had just kind of sent them on this mission and not given them full details, maybe Starfleet didn't even know.
I don't know. Starfleet rarely knows what's actually going on.
Yeah.
The left hand never knows what the right hand is doing.
I'll be right back, guys. I gotta check something.
Not my alien, not my problem.
So in that... Oh, go ahead, Red.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to say Starfleet's involvement in this conflict is kind of weird. Very Cold War vibes.
Well, we saw that a lot in TOS, so I guess it makes sense for them to be in that sort of place in their life.
Yeah.
It was just strange that, like aside from the sentience of this creature, the idea that the thing that they were most concerned about was whether the Klingons would get this weapon, not that they would have a way to defend themselves. And it's like, what gives you the right to say that these folks can't defend themselves? Why can't they? Yeah.
The casualty ratios certainly made it look like that, since millions of them are dead and like 100,000 of the other guys are dead. So, like, I get what
believe that Israel has a right to defend itself.
No. When I'm saying, like, wasn't it the other way around? Wasn't it the other way around that the people that
they
were
helping
the
Lutani. The Lutani
no, they were actually helping a little bit.
But they were worried that the Kassar or the Kassari or whatever were working with the Klingons, because Ortegas mentions that. But they were helping the guys who were like very much losing this fight. But it's still kind of weird for Starfleet to get involved in this conflict between two non-Federation
and apparently not
and basically decide that they're going to weight it, towards the other side with all of their resources.
But the reason that they do that is so that they don't align themselves with the Klingons, that they are the ones that help save the day or whatever, and they make inroads with.
No, the Klingons are working
different-
with the other guys, the Kasari.
See, I don't know. I thought I
Ortegas
had
has that line where she's like, "Weren't the Klingons helping the Kasari during the war?" Blah blah blah. And so that's the like implication that the Klingons are helping those guys, which is why they're kicking their asses. And so the Federation is kind of like getting involved in sort of like a Cold War way, I think, to like prevent the Klingons from gaining more influence by their guys winning this war.
Mhm.
So like that's what I got from it, which is like fine, but it's still kind of just
I thought the
interesting.
people that were having the butterfly sent to them were the ones that were beleaguered and had the mass death on their planet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is it that getting the butterfly, like, why are we saying that they're not allowed to defend themselves? You know what
They
I mean?
are.
After
Because Pike even said, we'll give you regular weapons. We're just not going to give you this
Okay.
life form.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
just the way they went about it.
Yeah, it was about the like ethics of them like modifying and then like abusing a sentient
No,
life
but
form
they-
that was
but
saying
they-
it didn't want to be used for that.
But they had the concern about the Klingons before finding out it was sentient. They had the
Yes.
concern about whether or not it would fall into the hands of the Klingons. They're saying they can't have this weapon. They were just thinking it's a weapon.
But they were just trying to transport it. They weren't taking it away. They were just trying to get it there safely.
Yeah.
Then when they found out it was sentient, then they're like, oh, screw
Well,
that noise. We'll give you
Also,
regular
they didn't
weapons.
even know it was a weapon. They thought it was livestock.
Well, that's
They thought
Yeah.
it was livestock.
Because that's what they were told.
Yeah. When they found out it was a weapon, I don't think they were planning to stop. They were just planning to disable the thing. But then when it started like clearly being sentient, they changed their tune, which was very Star Trek. Like that part of the episode I actually really liked.
Sure.
I love an Uhura episode, so like that was fine.
Yeah, if we'd
that
had
was a
more
thing for
time
me.
to explore the political intrigue, rather than making this a documentary, I think it would have been better. So like that leads to one of our questions: would this have been a better episode? Would the story have the main plot story have been better if this was not a documentary?
Yes.
And I think so. I don't think it would have been a great episode,
Absolutely.
but I think it would have been a 5 out of 10. I think it'd be right down the middle. It'd be interesting. It'd be well enough. The political intrigue between them and the Klingons and like the Cold War going on would have.
It would have been nice to
more
see the
satisfying.
other side.
Yeah. Like it's a meh. It's meh. Like this is very middle of the road. T&J did this way better. TOS did this way better. It's like meh.
They've
But it
also
would have
done
been
like Shady Dark Starfleet way better. Like Pegasus, way better Shady Dark Starfleet episode. So I feel like they just didn't go far enough with this if that's what they wanted to do. Like they asked these questions because fans have been asking these questions for God knows how long, right? But then they don't really like engage with them enough. So they're just kind of this unsatisfactory framing device that takes up half of the already short episode. So you barely have time to develop the really cool aliens, actually. Like, I liked the look of the Lutani with their weird little, like, their things and their different physiology. Like, that was cool. It would have been neat to learn more about them. And I loved the bird butterfly dragon thing. That was cool. I liked the design. I liked the, like, tragic story. Like, I don't know. It gave me, like, space whale vibes, but not a whale. Like, it was good. I liked it. But then, like, that whole documentary thing just drags it down and takes up so much air in the room that you barely have time to like interact with the stuff in the episode that's actually good.
It's like The Office, except the documentarian is Michael Scott.
Ooh.
The butterfly made me think of Osamu Tezuka's work, actually, because he has a legendary manga called Phoenix, which is about a intergalactic phoenix that is, you know, immortal and has witnessed all of time over the course of centuries. But unfortunately, this episode does not give us anything near as compelling for that, and we just get Big Pretty Butterfly. So I wanted to see what this alien could do, like what it is, you know, instead of just like hearing that it's in pain and all this other stuff. There were possibilities here that I was so crushed by. Like the melodrama of what's happening around it does not does not pay off in the way the look of that big butterfly does. Like, that's actually one of the better payoffs of this whole thing. Like, seeing that this is a giant, magnificent living creature. Yeah.
I wish we got like a closer shot of it.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Okay, bring it back.
That's
Oh. Very cool.
Who is the moth in the Tick? Who plays that guy?
Oh, you mean Arthur? Well, what's making you bring up Arthur? I don't think Arthur is quite as majestic as this butterfly.
You're right. He's not. No, I just thought, like, is it like somebody said Mothra when describing this butterfly creature?
I actually think this butterfly is significantly prettier than Mothra could ever be. Like, wow, looks really good.
You're not missing a lot, Gannon.
No, you're not missing much at all here.
I mean,
Overall,
there's
it's
a couple of good ones, but more bad than, or at least mediocre than good. So let's turn this to Pike. Are all Pike's choices justified, and do Starfleet's original orders gel with what we know about the Federation?
I mean, a little bit yes and no. This has always been a morally gray proposition, even from TNG on TOS on back.
It definitely reminded me of like Picard in Symbiosis, where it's just like, no, you can't have the shuttles to deliver your drugs. Figure it out yourselves.
That's a good point.
It is like a violation of the Prime Directive to even be doing this, I think. Like, it's just definitionally not non-Federation worlds getting in their business.
Did they request
and not being
help?
told why? You know, I guess like after, a
probably
season
did.
of breaking treaties and, disobeying orders or whatever, it's like just another feather in the cap of like, what's a regulation anyway? Whose regulation is it anyway?
Did he declare off the books? So then everything's out the window anyways.
Is this also about making Pike look like a bad boy too? Like he's going out.
No, he's tired of the Boy Scout reputation.
He's going out of his way. He's not listening to what the admirals are saying. He's going to help them. He's not going to let something happen to them.
Don't make an enemy out of the Federation, bud.
Yeah.
Especially in the TOS era, that's pretty common.
I mean, they have to arm everybody. It is a TOS era. Everyone needs weapons, flintlock or otherwise.
Like the beginning of the episode has him like, saying this is classified, again, sort of contradicting the whole transparency thing, and of course he's asked the gotcha question of like, have you ever disobeyed orders? Like, why would he ever confess to that? It's probably not classified. It's just
the camera's running, right?
None your business.
Was he alluding to like what happened towards the end of Discovery season 2 there, where he's like, I'm pretty sure that's classified. Like I wasn't sure what he was getting at there.
I think
unless he was like alluding to Discovery.
I think it was any and all of the times he's just disobeyed orders, including like during hegemony. Yeah, he's not going to admit to that on the record. He probably basically got away with it by agreeing that it's going to be classified. Like,
the Prime Directive goes back all the way to Enterprise.
Well, they just call it General Order 1. It's the same thing. It's just, it's a different name.
They didn't have a big rubber stamp for it yet that says Prime Directive.
Although I'm not sure it necessarily applies here, because I think these guys have warp, right? The Lutani. Right. And so if they ask for help, they're not pre-warp, so they're not messing around with like
they're not pre-warp, but they're not Federation worlds either.
Yeah,
so
but they'll mess around with non-Federation worlds upon request. That happens a lot.
But in Symbiosis, they said this is a Prime Directive issue, and that's why they left.
They didn't have warp in that. They were just in 2 interplanetary.
Okay.
They only had 3 vessels and 2 of them didn't work. And Picard's just like, you know what? We're not going to fix your ships for you. Figure it out yourselves.
Yeah, it's a bit of a case by case, but it just seems like
tweaking.
getting in the middle of a battle it goes beyond just helping somebody. It's getting in the middle of a conflict.
And I'm not saying this is right, but the difference is in Symbiosis, it wasn't like the Klingons were trying to help one of the worlds and we're like, oh crap, we need to help the other one. Here, like, this is a clear line of escalation we see in TOS, where anytime another power is slightly involved or on the border with another power, the Federation like has to step in to try and like keep up with the Joneses or whatever. Like that happened in, so many episodes. Half the time there's a godlike entity that steps in to stop us, but
Guess who's coming to war?
Well, granted, it was 100 years later, but in too short a season, the one where you've got the admiral that gets younger, he had secretly given weapons which he was not authorized to do. So it's not, at least by then, it's not a Federation best practice. And in TOS, what was the episode where they were like contemplating giving flintlocks to?
Yeah, that's a
private little
war. The Gumados.
And that seemed to be like left up to a captain. Like, oh well, I mean, I guess if you think we need to do this to keep up on the Cold War, then you're authorized to do it. So I guess it is a very, very gray area at this time.
I would think that would be a good narrative for the documentary if they really want to like expose some shady stuff.
I agree with Mr. Captain. I want a whole 5-minute side quest about his hair care routine.
Let's be meta about this shit. Let's be self-referential and like really dive into the characters. And later on we can have fun gags about that stuff. We used to have humor in this show. What in the hell happened?
His hair care, his cooking. It's like, does this guy ever run his own ship?
Right. His guitar playing.
He has the bullion on speed dial, just like in the sort of like bunk next to him to do his hair.
Let's have the documentary kind of like peek in on him going through some Eric Clapton videos or something. Just some real dad rock shit. I know that's in him. Like I see it.
I want to find out that Pike's hair is a separate entity unto itself.
It's like a brain slug.
I mean,
oh my god, I was
feel
about
like
to say that.
Would be so much more interesting than what we got in this episode.
Yeah, like let's actually, do an expose, but we actually are in the audience find out something new. Because that's what I was actually hoping for. If you're going to do an expose, let's find out something.
That's something that they kind of alluded to here, and I don't want to ruin it for Gannon or anyone who hasn't seen Stargate, but they played up a specific angle in this that Stargate did in their episode with the Uhura and who is it? Chapel and Spock were like grievously injured, but like we as the audience know nothing's going to be wrong with them. Like it seemed like the documentary wanted to play up like, oh, these guys could be dead, and then they just kind of went like, but they're not, so it's cool.
All right, so we've got about 15 more minutes of regular talk time. We've got a couple of questions that I definitely want to get in here. How does this episode compare to Devil in the Dark from TOS, the one with the Horta in the underground mines, or Tin Man in TNG, where they find the like sentient life form that's trying to off itself around a star about to go nova?
Both of them had better outcomes.
I want to talk about contrast here. Okay. Everybody in that original TOS episode just feels like themselves. And everyone around here is just all in a rush and just we're not getting hardly any like real character. And like when we get character, it feels so small and insignificant to the larger pacing of the episode. It's really kind of a loss. Yeah. Like all this stuff with Spock, that should have been handled better. Like, why did we just have this flat, like, confession? That is never, ever mentioned again. I know we're probably building up for something, but it still sucks the way it's presented.
It was a real gut punch.
Huh.
That they shoved in the beginning and then just kind of dropped the point.
Yeah, nothing. I was shocked. Like, what are we doing here?
To Scott's point in the ticker down here about I like my space being surviving. Yeah, I mean, like it kind of, the only thing in this episode is that it like hits you when the butterfly creature just, you know, ends itself. So I don't know. I'm very conflicted on that one. Like, I want it to survive. That would be a very Star Trek thing to do, to find a way for everybody to live in harmony. But also it's the only thing in the episode that actually hits and makes it feel like there's a connection in any way, shape, or form for me. So
it's reclaiming autonomy, which I think is really important. With the Horta, it's a bit more deadly than this butterfly that we're aware of, because it's already been like kind of taking people out, and by the time they get there, it's a danger to the mine. And then of course we get Spock mind melding with a rock, and Dr. Bones' best line ever. You know, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. I love that doctor line.
Yes. That's a classic. That's a genre defining line. You know, everyone remembers that. I'm not going to remember this episode like in a year. Like,
aside from the butterfly design.
Like TOS, the thing about TOS and Strange New Worlds it kind of did it in the first 2 seasons, but it's not really, it's taking itself too seriously at this point. Like there's a sort of balance between comedic and serious that they weaved through those episodes that the magic isn't remade here. And even if you're not, like, make it good. And in Tin Man, it's much more somber. But that tone is consistent throughout it.
That was like broken people helping themselves become better. This, like, there would have been something here if the alien butterfly, because wasn't there babies or something that they were trying to protect as well? Like, maybe if there was a tie-in there, like, I'd like to go home, but I'm so messed up that, like, by going home I would ruin everything. So like Moses can't actually live in the promised land, so they go off to, you know, save everyone else or something. So if the
sacrifice had made somebody else's life better, it would have been more worth it.
They could have paralleled the butterfly's arc with Uhura's or somebody on the ship, so that there's a tie-in together, so that the narrative is a bit tighter. Yeah.
They could have killed the butterfly's family, but that would have made me really sad.
Oh my god.
They would have played Hey Now after they did that.
They're still for broke.
So,
damn.
It would mirror Uhura, but like, I mean, it would be effective. It would make me ugly cry. Like,
I mean, they do come to build the walls between us.
I wish they had the 10 more minutes of episode. I think they really needed it. Like,
it would help make the tone more apparent, like what the actual tone is supposed to be. The ending completely ruins whatever the tone is supposed to be.
It's true.
They could have,
you know, the guy in a dirty blanket as a Horta does kind of
so bad.
I love it, but I know
Spock
it's not
mind meld for way too long. The mind meld goes on for like 10 minutes of that episode.
One of the problems with TOS is, like, some of those episodes are just 10 minutes too long.
You know what? I love the guy.
I mean, he's trying to meld to solid rock.
What's that, Scott?
What'd you just say? We missed it. Sorry.
Oh, I was joking about how he had to meld his way through like solid rock, so it took longer.
That's actually a really valid reasoning for that in a way.
But also, speaking to like the end of this, if they had tacked on another 10 minutes, maybe somewhere in there you get an extended monologue from Beto explaining why his view on Starfleet changed from the beginning. And then you segue into that happy ending with like the Bolian's birthday and the dinner in Pike's quarters, and it all makes more sense.
That would have been, some sort of narration or so, like,
Yeah.
I went into this thinking Starfleet was something, but it turns out it's so much more. It's, it's the people, it's, the friends you make along the way, whatever the hell they want.
Right. Like they could have put in some kind of voiceover platitude to sort of wrap it up in a bow.
We're always joking about it, yeah.
Some cliche thing to like make it conclusive, but yeah.
Yeah, it's Starfleet's not perfect, but as long as there's people willing to do their best for what they believe in, it's a shining future. I don't know. And then they can eat their cubes.
I hate the way they start this. Like it really feels like a stereotype of a bad leftist journalist being like, "Oh, Starfleet are colonizers. They only act as peacekeepers."
The thing is, he's right. He's right. He's not wrong about that, but like the way he went about it is just so obnoxious and so self-righteous. And he's talking to the wrong people about this stuff. Like you don't go to ensigns and say, "What did you do? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think?" Like they're at the bottom of the totem pole. You got to talk. You got to do your research and talk to admirals and see what military moves have been made and stuff like that.
But the admirals and stuff in general, they're going to follow the script. I mean, I guess he thought if he asked the lowest people on the totem pole, he might find some more sympathetic people that like joined the service for all the new worlds and new exploration and seeking out. And then they got war, and then we delivered weapons.
But if you're going to hold
people,
if you're going to hold Starfleet accountable, though, that's not the person that you would ask is an ensign.
Yeah.
You're getting like the real gritty boots on the ground stuff. All right, we have 8 minutes left, and I have two questions I definitely want to get in here. What kind of documentary would you make about the current Strange New Worlds Enterprise? We're going to follow Spock and Christine Chapel and their fractured romance.
Oh.
I would make the documentary about how Starfleet is one of the great exploratory vessels of the 24th century. I would make the documentary about these people who walk into space. They make the space into Trek. Those are the people who are real men.
Especially the women.
You go to see the gun and you say, "I want to see the baby."
But I can't get used to a woman on the bridge, Josh.
Nope, just can't happen.
Man, I don't know. I guess I would probably like focus in on like a day in the life of like the ensigns or like a day in the life of like the captain or something, and just
so much
capture
better.
daily life aboard the Enterprise. I don't know.
I think he would do an unbiased take, Ren. I think he would try to do an unbiased.
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to think like thematically, maybe like if they're going to pick a specific mission like this one, maybe either follow it top down or bottom up, just to see all of the pieces we never get to see of like the person on deck 27 who's just like got to do that one thing, a day in the life of completing a mission, all the things we don't see.
There's 200 people.
200 people too little, actually.
I just want a whole episode of Scotty in the engineering tube, just like rewiring stuff, and that's the whole episode.
And swearing in like his little Scottish swear words.
Laddie, you never know how much you burn yourself until you really get into the tubes. I mean, you got to feel it in your fingers, laddie.
And that's why he starts drinking.
I want to We could
I'm
follow
gonna
Erica
bet no one
Ortega
knows.
so that she finally gets an episode, and we can call it "I Fly the Ship."
Yeah.
I
Or they-
would
I would,
like two.
Yes.
I have like two ideas, and that is asking Pike about like investigating his captaining career.
What is it that you
Because
do?
there's so many things that he just disregards and doesn't follow through on and covers up, and it's like, who is this guy? Like, what gives him the right to do that? Or like I've mentioned before, sort of Gonzo, Fear and Loathing on the Enterprise, just fully like losing it. Like everybody's a lizard. I'm in a casino, all the carpet's moving. Like, you know, McBenga's my attorney. Like, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, they start a mission. They're going there to film. They start a mission, and then Pelia accidentally activates her acid somehow, and it gets in the filtration system.
Oh my
They just-
god, I would pay so much money for that documentary of the entire crew tripping
Yes.
balls.
I mean,
Do you
I
think
can
that
trust
if
you, babe.
they interviewed Pike about his captaining, they would ask whether Una's the real captain? Because the answer is yes.
Seriously.
He like looks at Una for the answer, like no. No.
I would also want to do something like that British series where they follow, kids from the time they're like 5 years old until like they're 35.
Oh,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you could see
Wow,
how
setting
Starfleet shapes people and how it like affects their lives and even their appearance as the years get older. You get to see the stress, the toll of being in just basically a gravity vacuum in space. For months, years on end, like what it can do to you.
Or like following up with the planets that they've sort of left behind. Like,
Yeah, Robbie, you can start on somebody asking Pike a question in present day,
Project Swingback.
and then he
Yeah.
answers it in the beep chair as a yes or no, like 30 years later.
Yes. Mm.
All right. Couple minutes left. One last kind of important question to wrap this up. Does Beto answer the question he asks at the beginning of the documentary?
I mean, yes,
No.
but badly. The question's what is Starfleet? The answer is the people, which is like fine, but I don't know. Some of the people gave those weird, shady orders, and we're just not gonna talk about that.
He was too busy stuffing his face to come up with an ending.
Pike did what he always does: disarms them with his good cooking, makes them forget
Yeah,
all
it
about
does.
all of the shady stuff.
Why does a MAGA guy have to be so goddamn handsome and charming? I'm sick of it. It's annoying.
Yeah, the ending was definitely written in the edit, and it doesn't. I mean, maybe overall it answers like what is Starfleet? Like, okay, it's a series of people that do their job, and they tend to try and do the right thing, even if their
They're just
orders
following
aren't.
orders.
No, because
Except
you see
when they
them
aren't.
like skirting
Oh,
them
don't.
where they can to at least like get as many people to a good outcome as they can, because you can't save them all. But does it answer like his tone and what he was clearly going for in the beginning? No.
I don't think he answers the question as to whether Starfleet is one thing or the other, because his scope is too small. He talks to the wrong people. He's asking the wrong questions. He's casting a very wide net, and with no netting. He's just throwing a rope in the ocean and hope it catches something. Like,
I just want to know, is this it? Like, is he going to be on the ship in future? Or is this it?
God,
Or,
I hope not.
is Uhura going to be heartbroken for the next 3 episodes?
out the airlock.
I bet he's still gonna
Erica's
be
like,
around.
whoops.
I don't think so. I think she had enough of him. I mean, there's the scene where, I mean, she's just doing her job, but she's the one to push him off the bridge when she's like, nope, everybody out. And then like just the way he ambushed her and then like asked her the question that she didn't even know about her like friend from the academy. Like he really, I don't see how you could possibly stay with somebody like that.
And
I'd
he
be
had to
heartbroken.
know, like, in advance, too, because he, like, set it up by being like, oh, were you close to anyone in Starfleet? Like, he had to have looked up at her as, like, roommate or something, and then happened to see her on the, like, Cayuga list and be like, oh, yeah, boom, gotcha. Yeah, that made me mad. I did not like that.
No, because I was kind of pushing for him early on. Like, I thought they were cute, but
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I agree with Norman. The viewer would be lost as to why the mission was happening in the first place. Exactly. Like, you're left as a viewer to sort of fill in the blanks. And my diplomatic theory is just a theory. You don't actually know.
He was the only like romantic part of the last few episodes I've enjoyed on any level. At least like him and Uhura had good like sitcom cute dialogue. It's been one of the I don't even think it's like great, but it's still okay. You know, it doesn't get in the way, and it feels like it has a little bit of personality. And now they've done this to this character. Why the hell are we just throwing away characters this season? Why are characters just being completely thrown away from the top?
You know what would have made it better? 10 more minutes, eyes exploding. Yep.
Well, yeah.
You know, even if they retold what we already basically knew in a documentary, Mr. Captain, I think, like, you know, he went on the Homeworld mission. I think that being retold as a documentary would still be better. I'd rather watch that twice than watch this friggin' episode ever again.
And imagine we actually got extra details that we didn't see in the first episode of things they found there or more discoveries or something. That could have been the type of story arc that the season's lacking. The only story arc we get is who's hooking up with who between episodes.
But see, like, if we're talking about will he be back, I assume Corby's coming back, and we may even go back to that planet before the end of this. I don't want Beto back. I don't care if I ever see him or hear about him again. I now know more about Beto than I know about his sister, who's a main character and a top-billed cast member of the seasons.
She flies the ship. She flies the ship.
She flies ship. She upset about Ford. That's it.
She punches.
She flies.
She motorcycles.
I swear to God, if we don't get an Erica episode that is like fully her episode this season, this is a joke. I'm going to burn down Paramount Studios.
That ship has
okay,
joke,
you know what?
Joke.
I'll take a whole episode of her just playing chess. You know, something fucking different. Like something different.
Just flicking playing cards into a hat. Just
yeah. Okay. Let her talk while she's doing that.
Anything.
How about an episode where everyone's knocked unconscious and she has to do everything to rescue the ship?
They could have had a documentary about Beto filming her in quarters, being confined to quarters after being taken off of Helm, which is something we had earlier in the season, never talked about again.
Redacted.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Off the books.
What if I'm just saying this is Beto's her brother, right? I just love this, like, somebody asked him, like, what was Erica like as a kid? Oh, she flew a ship.
Man.
Yeah, it's kind of
the day she was born. She's been flying ships.
I do think it's very cute that Ortegas and Tom Paris are both pilots who like fixing up classic Earth vehicles. That was kind of adorable.
Yeah,
where's she gonna drive it?
I hope we find out later in the season. I hope there's some foreshadowing for the final episode or something that they're gonna need a ground vehicle like that.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Maybe she'll just go raring around Vulcan next episode.
That would give her
music.
presence in this episode some kind of weight, because all she does is sit and mope. Like, great. It kind of expands what we already knew about her this season, but it doesn't add anything to the documentary. As a filmmaker, there's no reason to keep that in.
She's kind of become the La'an. Like, the La'an used to be the sort of cold, distant, not very happy person. Yes, Therese, I agree.
Just been the letters were redacted,
yes,
blinking for an entire 40 minutes, and that would have been fine. Okay, we've been talking about this for more than 40 minutes and just over an hour, which means let's do some out of 10s. Boy, this for me is the second worst episode of Strange New Worlds, only coming in a little bit ahead of Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach. And honestly, that might have been better as a documentary. Somehow
Fair.
that could have softened just how badly put together that one was and how bad the message that came out of it was.
Ooh.
This one, I was originally going to give a 1.75 because that's about where I have it in the grand scheme of out of 900 episodes of Star Trek. This is about there. I will give it an extra quarter of a point because as we were talking about it, we don't see a lot of Strange New Worlds and Strange New Worlds, and we actually went to a Strange New World. So I'll give it the extra quarter point. I will give it a 2. And I do not like this one, and I will not be revisiting it unless I have to. Go ahead, Scott.
Wow, did not see that coming. The one thing I would say this episode does well that we haven't entirely touched on, obviously from the way we've been talking about it, this thing is going to be debated like forever. It's literally up there with Tubix, and I know they weren't trying to do that, but now they have. As for me, that's about the only. I don't know, man. I'm trying to get everybody else's scores, and I think I missed one, but yeah, it's not great. It will go down in infamy for all the wrong reasons. Let's just call it a 4.
All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we haven't talked about that I wanted to mention. Besides the food cubes, which are just instant bonus points for me. I do like that one of the things, and I think this might be stealing from Ren, but like I didn't find myself needing to check in with my phone during this episode very much. It's like it kept me interested well enough to like be engaged with what was happening. Now, part of that might be because it was so short, comparatively speaking, and there wasn't much. What do you call it? Where they do a lot of times like retreading the same stuff, I guess. But for the most part, I do feel like the outside of the framing device stuff was thin enough to not really be worthy of its own episode. Now they could have built it into its own episode, I suppose, but they didn't give us enough meat to really delve into what was going on with the alien races or what the true circumstances behind everything were, which I guess feeds into the nature of it being kind of a classified mission that you don't know all the details about. So that could have worked a little better had they tied it in more effectively. And I do give them points for trying to do this type of episode. But again, it leads into the whole, is Strange New Worlds becoming just a collection of gimmick episodes now, as opposed to just having its own identity and occasionally doing something like that. And I'm not saying I don't like some of their gimmicks. It's just when I think about the show going forward, is that going to be all I think about? It's the one with this episode and the one with that episode and the one with the singing. So I don't know. I would just like a nice staple of meat and potatoes Star Trek at some point to just be like, this is what we're missing. But all in all, I didn't hate the episode. I think it was, in the weakest season of the show, it wasn't my least favorite episode. I'll probably give it about a 5.5.
Before Robbie goes, I just want Mr. Captain, or does anybody else here know what Mr. Captain's talking about? The official size
Oh,
of the
yeah.
ship?
They made the Enterprise longer by several meters.
Oh, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I admittedly don't care
It's
about
longer,
that.
but it has half the crew. Nice.
Okay, my turn on the Chopping Black. I don't think I can give this thing anything more than a 2. I mean, it just has some of the worst characterization I've ever seen in a Star Trek episode. I mean, just flat out disappointing. They ruined another new character for no seeming benefit going forward. We are presented everything We are presented everything in the worst possible way. Your character is only be good one. Sure. Your characters are only viewed from their worst intentions on the outside, and then the resolution still doesn't answer any of your questions that you bring up towards the beginning. I mean, I don't know. It feels like a college kid, like coming home and realizing his fucking parents are racist or something, and now you can't hang out at Thanksgiving dinner. You got sold out. You got corporate. Like it just feels like horseshit. It feels like anti-leftist like sentiment almost. Like the way they set it up. SJWs are just putting their noses where they don't belong. We just have to teach them a thing, and then they can become part of the family. I hate the condescending tone of this episode all around. I think it's condescending to its characters and the viewers. Like, we know these people better than this. I mean, Pike, he's obviously acting shady the whole time, but they never really show you anything that should absolve him of being so shady. And Beto is just so okay with everything. Like, if they build this up into something like the Starfleet is brainwashing people or something like that, then that would at least be an interesting twist for how this functions. But for right now, this is junk. Like, this is wasting the potential the show has been building up over 2 seasons, and I'm completely unhappy with it. And I basically gave it a 2 because it still looks amazing. Like, we're still getting great work out of everyone, even with the shaky cam, the problems with that. They're still doing that to the best of their abilities. But even with a little bit of that, the staging of things, it just feels awkward and silly. Like when Uhura pushes him off the bridge. I'm sorry. Here, push back, then close the door. Like, it doesn't feel like it has, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it has tension in the right way when you're seeing it through the camera. I can't do any more than a 2. I won't like everyone here, but no one gets any character building. They don't get any payoff. They don't get anything to latch on to. This is undoubtedly one of the worst first watches I've ever had for a Star Trek episode in my 32 years of life. It's just murder, it felt like.
What you're saying is you just can't do it. You don't have the power.
No, I don't. I don't think I want to if it leads to this horse shit. Ren, please take the mic from me. I'm never going to shut up.
Well, I did not hate this episode as much as the rest of you seem to. I thought that it was kind of cool meeting a new alien species. I thought the kind of like Cold War angle was sort of interesting. I loved the butterfly bird thing, the Jakaru. That was cool. I thought it was, I don't know, the tragedy worked for me. It made me really sad. And I felt like it was pretty Star Trek that they initially went from like transporting this thing to realizing like, oh, this is fully a weapon. And then, oh my gosh, this thing has feelings. We need to honor that and let it make its own choices about what it wants to do. We're not going to let them enslave this creature and use it as a weapon. Sorry. So that was like, that all worked for me. I liked that. I think that it really stumbles with the documentary stuff, and that's why I can't like give it like a great rating, because it was just sort of like wishy-washy, and he went so hard at the start and then it just completely peters out with this like flimsy bad faith analysis, and then everything's just fine. But I did have some fun with some of the documentary stuff. Like, I thought Pike and Mbenga being shady was pretty funny. Like, Mbenga in particularly was hilarious with his delivery of his like, I do not recall line. Like, it was great. So there was stuff like that was fun. I loved Uhura in this episode. I like that she sort of used her role as communications officer to like advocate for the creature, and that was very on brand for her character. And I love Celia Gooding, and anytime she gets screen time, I'm happy. So all in all, I think I'm gonna give it probably about a 6.5. I think that honestly, if the episode were longer and had been more like, I don't know, carefully, like thoughtfully put together and had like a more thoughtful conclusion. I actually do think it could have been a great episode instead of just a pretty all right one. But when you like on its own, it was very watchable and enjoyable. But when you start comparing it to like really good episodes of Star Trek, it just falls totally flat in comparison. So I think that's kind of where my stumbling point is.
Like sort of piggybacking off of what Scott said about this being sort of Tuvix adjacent. For me, the stakes of that episode are far higher because you had two main characters mixed together and you were faced with either having none of them or killing this new person and having your crew members back. And you were sort of left with, well, was that a good decision or not? That's up to you. With this, I didn't actually think the outcome was quite so divisive. Like the animal made its intentions clear, and the ethical choice was made. I think that's a pretty, solid decision, even if it was against regulations or whatever, because it's one of those things where it's like going against orders actually makes a bit of sense here rather than just going against it because, oh, my love, whatever. But in terms of like the quality of the actual like episode itself, it's like I feel like it's trying to slap a gimmick on an old Star Trek premise and does it badly on both counts. And I really wanted to like this. I like any episode of Star Trek. It's like I don't ever watch something looking to hate anything, but like the moral righteous attitude coming off of, a very legitimate criticism and being painted as like being obnoxious and being pushy and being like, this question doesn't belong in this arena. And, Pike being all standoffish about it makes it seem as though he's like a snot-nosed SJW. Like Robbie said, it's just tonally very off. And it makes me wonder if this is sort of like a meta commentary about people making criticisms of Star Trek in general, like saying that like people who call it like imperialist colonialist project are obnoxious and aren't getting the point. And it's like, you're not making an argument against it by throwing your influence behind a military power or trying to wedge yourself in the middle of a conflict that doesn't belong, that you're not involved in. And in terms of like the interpersonal conflict, I feel like the character of Beto just completely did a 180, did it specifically for the convenience of the plot in this. His cinematography sucks. I give it a 3.
The episode or his cinematography?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, Vanessa, I really want to commend you for agreeing with me because the way they set this up, the way Paramount has a habit of creating anti-SJW propaganda. They were doing it in Yellowstone a few years ago where there's a scene where the main Yellowstone lady, whatever her name is, I don't care about that fucking show.
Mrs.
She takes a cell phone from somebody and destroys it, and it's like, you want to fuck around in real shit. This is what happens when you fuck around in real shit, SJW. They have a habit of doing this crap throughout their TV shows. So I'm very particularly eyeing this one as a suspicious character. With the timing of everything that's going on in Paramount and what they've been trying to do, it feels like anti-leftist propaganda. I fucking hate this thing.
To go piggyback on Vanessa, I did get the feeling this might have been a small, not attack, but commentary on just because you can pick up a camera on YouTube and complain about Star Trek doesn't mean your point is right.
Oh.
Ow. Feel personally attacked.
Yeah. Interesting. Especially for a group of Trektubers here.
They make a lot of hard decisions, you guys.
You don't know how hard it is for Kurtzman to come up with these stories.
Damn it, Pike hasn't had a shower in 4 hours.
Wow.
All right. We have been here for an hour and 20 minutes. It's time to wrap it up. This has been quite a discussion. This is the lowest average ranking at a 4.25 we've given this season. This is quite a wide margin between, lowest and best. I can even though I think it's a 2, I can definitely see why some of the rest of you would give it more. It has potential. It was something that they tried. It was a thing that could have done a lot more. For me, it fails, but I appreciate that everybody has a very strong opinion one way or another.
It's less than the sum of its parts.
Correct.
It's made for probably one of the best buffer time episodes. I'll say that already. I'm just canonizing it now.
This has been a lot of great discussion. So I would like to thank you guys for making a great discussion and for all of you for tuning in. Till we see you next week with some Patton Oswald and some more Vulcans. Live long